What if the farm was never the poor part of agriculture? And if the richest part of farming happens after the harvest, why are so many Africans taught to stop at the farm? Stay with that question. It is a paradox that many lessons can be learned from a farm about how great things start from being small. Yet we are not learning how farming itself can be the beginning of boundless greatness. Because somewhere in Africa, a young person is looking at a field and thinking, I don't want to be a farmer. And perhaps the strangest part is that the person may love food, they may love technology, they may love business, they may dream of building something big. They simply don't see the connection. Let me tell you about a boy named Tunde. Tunde grew up watching his father farm. Every morning before the sun became hot, his father was already outside. He planted maize, cassava, tomatoes, beans. He worked beneath the sun until his clothes were wet with sweat. At harvest time, trucks came. They bought the crops, and then they left. Tunde watched. One day he asked his father, "Papa, how much did you make?" His father laughed. "Not much." Tunde looked at the truck disappearing down the road. "But what happens to everything we harvested?" His father shrugged. "They take it to the market." And that was the lesson Tunde remembered. Farming meant hard work. Long days, small margins, uncertain weather, and somebody else seemed to make the bigger money. So when Tunde grew older, he told everyone, "I don't want to be a farmer." Nobody was surprised, but one afternoon, Tunde traveled to a city. He walked into a supermarket. There were packaged tomato sauces, fruit juices, flour, cereal, cooking oils, animal feeds, snacks, frozen foods, cosmetics. And suddenly he stopped. He looked at a bottle of tomato sauce. Then he remembered his father's farm. Tomatoes, the same tomatoes. But the tomato his father sold cheaply had become something else. A bottle, a brand, a product, a business, a job, a factory, a truck, a warehouse, a marketing campaign, a supermarket shelf. And suddenly, Tunde understood something he had never been taught. The farm was only the beginning of the journey. But wait, this is where the story becomes uncomfortable. Because when we say Africans are leaving agriculture, we often ask, why don't young people want to farm? Perhaps that is the wrong question. Maybe the better question is, what version of agriculture did we show them? If you show a child someone sweating under the sun, struggling to sell raw produce at a low price, and then show another person sitting in an office running a food processing company, which one do you think the child will call the future? The problem may not be agriculture. The problem may be the picture of agriculture. For too long, farming has often been presented as the beginning and the end. Plant, harvest, sell, repeat. But modern agriculture is much larger than that. It includes seeds, machinery, irrigation, software, logistics, storage, insurance, finance, processing, packaging, branding, export, research, biotechnology, data, retail, and suddenly agriculture begins to look very different. It's no longer just about putting a seed in the ground. It is about building an entire world around that seed. Imagine two farmers. The first farmer grows tomatoes and sells them immediately after harvest. The second farmer grows tomatoes too, but he also owns a small processing plant. Some tomatoes become paste, some become sauce, some are dried, some are packaged. The waste becomes animal feed or compost. He employs drivers, technicians, accountants, designers, food scientists, marketers, machine operators, software developers. Now ask yourself, who is really in agriculture? The farmer, the factory owner, the engineer designing the processing machine, the programmer building the farm management app, the scientist improving the seed, the logistics company transporting the harvest, the designer creating the packaging. The answer is all of them, and this is where the story gets bigger, because perhaps Africa did not simply lose interest in agriculture. Perhaps we made agriculture look smaller than it really is. History also matters. During colonial rule, many African economies were organized around producing commodities for external markets. Cocoa, cotton, ground nuts, coffee, tea, palm products, and many others. The pattern often looked something like this: grow the raw material, move it outward, process it somewhere else, sell the finished product back. The farmer remained close to the soil, but much of the higher value activity happened somewhere beyond it. And even after independence, changing that structure proved difficult. Infrastructure was weak, processing industries were limited, finance was expensive, electricity unreliable, markets fragmented, research underfunded, supply chains inefficient. So the pattern survived in different forms, not because Africans were incapable of processing their own resources, but because building an entire industrial ecosystem is much harder than simply growing a crop. And yet, that is exactly where the opportunity lives. Look at what is happening around the world. Technology billionaires and major investors are increasingly interested in agriculture. Why? Because food is not disappearing. People still need to eat, but agriculture is changing. Artificial intelligence can help analyze crops. Sensors can measure soil. Drones can monitor fields. Technology can improve irrigation. Cold storage can reduce waste. Better logistics can connect farmers to markets. Biotechnology can improve seeds. Automation can increase productivity. Processing can turn perishable crops into products that travel farther and last longer. So the young person who says, "I don't want to farm," might actually be saying, "I don't want the old version of farming." And that is a very different statement. Imagine if a child were told, "You can become a farmer." Then the child imagines a hoe. But imagine saying, "You can build machines for farmers." Now the child imagines engineering. You can create software that helps farmers predict weather. Technology. You can build a company that turns cassava into industrial starch. Manufacturing. You can develop better seeds. Science. You can build cold storage systems. Engineering. You can create an African food brand that sells around the world. Business. Suddenly agriculture has become attractive, not because we changed the soil, because we changed the imagination. And perhaps this is the deeper problem. A society can make an entire industry unattractive simply by teaching people to see only its hardest part. Imagine telling a child, medicine means cleaning hospital floors. They might never discover that medicine also means research, surgery, biotechnology, medical devices, and drug development. Imagine telling a child, technology means fixing computers. They might never discover artificial intelligence, robotics, cybersecurity, and software companies. And imagine telling a child, agriculture means farming. They may never discover that agriculture can mean science, technology, manufacturing, finance, and global trade. The field is not the whole industry. It is the beginning. But there is another uncomfortable question. What happens when Africans leave agriculture because they believe the future is somewhere else, while people from somewhere else begin looking at African agriculture and seeing the future? That should make us pause, not because foreign investors are automatically bad. Investment can bring capital, technology, markets, and expertise. Partnerships can be valuable, but there is a difference between welcoming investment and surrendering the opportunity. If someone sees value in your land, your food system, your markets, and your young population, perhaps the question should not be, why are they interested? It should be, why didn't we build more of this ourselves? Tunde eventually returned home. He stood beside his father's farm, but he no longer saw only rows of crops. He saw a factory, a storage, a laboratory. He saw packaging. He saw trucks. He saw software. He saw young engineers. He saw food scientists. He saw jobs. He saw exports. He saw possibility. His father looked at him. "Oh, you finally want to become a farmer?" Tunde smiled. Maybe the future of African agriculture is not convincing every young person to become a traditional farmer. Maybe that was never the goal. The goal is to make agriculture an ecosystem where ambitious people can find somewhere to build, where a young person can love technology and still work in agriculture, where a scientist can build a career from African crops, where an engineer can design machines for African farms, where an entrepreneur can process African food for African and global markets. where farmers are not merely suppliers of raw materials, but partners in an industry that creates value around them. Because the real question is not, why don't Africans want to farm? It is, why did we teach Africans to see agriculture as the bottom of the ladder when it could be the beginning of an entire staircase? Perhaps the farm was never the problem. Perhaps we simply stopped imagining everything that could grow beyond it. And maybe one day, a child will look across an African field and see something different, not poverty, not punishment, not an occupation left for those who could not find another job, but a beginning, a seed in the ground, a factory beyond the horizon, a laboratory somewhere nearby, a technology company growing beside it, and an entire generation finally understanding. The harvest is not the end of agriculture. It is where the bigger story begins.